Welcome back, everyone. My name's Dylan England, and we're here to strip down the old and rebuild the better you. We're going to help redesign your life with clarity, courage, and practical strategies. If you're ready to stop settling and start evolving, you're in the right place. This is The Practical Edge. And today, we're going to dig into 5 out of the 10 habits for optimal self-improvement. But before that, I'm going to share a story about 2 friends that operate quite a bit differently. My friend Alex and Robert, they tend to both care for their garden. And this being a changing in seasons, I figure like it was appropriate to share their story. So Alex has more of an all or nothing mindset. He suggests that he only has time for major projects. So once a month, he spends an entire weekend grueling about 12 to 16 hours, ripping out huge overgrown weeds, taking care of the plants that are just not maintained very well. And by the end, he expresses that he's completely exhausted. His garden looks great, but only for a few days. Within a week or 2, the weeds start popping back up, and some even start thriving again. While Robert tends to choose things a little differently, with daily consistency, going out into the garden every morning, and he spends about 10 to 15 minutes walking through the garden just pulling a handful of weeds, watering the plants that are vital, or the ones that really need water at that time. And he makes the small, seemingly effortless, but consistent effort to assure that the garden just looks great, right? And he can look at it and take advantage of what he works on each and every day and just gets to enjoy it. By the end of the year, Alex is burnt out and glad the season's over. While the plot or his garden tends to look like a disaster and he hates gardening, Robert's garden on the other end tends to be thriving. The weeds never gain momentum, and he actually enjoys putting in a little bit of effort as it's a form of peace and silence for about 15 minutes of what he calls effective work. Thus, the habits that both Robert and Alex differ. Throughout the season, what stresses Alex out becomes a normal thing that Robert can look forward to each and every day with small, consistent action. That's why habits are so important, opposed to an all-or-nothing mindset, or opposed to an all-or-nothing approach to things. Now let's get into 5 out of the 10 optimal self-improvement habits, and I'll share the other 5 with you next week. Number 1, move daily. I might sound like a broken record, but I'm encouraging you to move whenever you can, in just a small amount even. It doesn't have to be extreme, but make movement with purpose. So I'm not asking you to go out and run a marathon or ultra marathon. I'm not saying you need to put in 3 hours in the gym in a day. But what does or should happen is a non-negotiable for your mental and physical health to just move a little bit. Find something you enjoy, like getting momentum through walking, riding a bike, playing pickleball, or even just dancing. I've worked with many clients that never cared for the idea of strength training, but dancing was their thing. So when they can go out and dance, they feel great about themselves. They do tend to resort to weightlifting or training so that they can improve their tolerance to dance, their performance to dance, and it tends to carry over. It supports their muscles, the circulation through their bodies, it supports their bone density, and just helps build a resiliency so they can continue to enjoy life through aging. So even if you just spend 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, that tends to add up over time, right? And it beats 0 minutes every time. Eventually, you'll start to notice you'll have more energy, more clarity, more satisfaction in things. Eventually, you'll like to exercise because of the results and the outcome that it can provide for our mental and physical health. It also improves our ability to focus, reduces our pain perspective or the sensation of pain in our bodies. If you go to a facility like a gym, you can join a community and meet more like-minded people, individuals overcoming barriers together. So you know for a fact you are not alone. If you're unsure where to start, I do have a free downloadable program that you can do from home. You can get that at my coaching section under downloadable programs at englandcoaching.com. England spelled just like the country. Number 2, no phone or distraction window of time, meaning that you're putting your phone away. You're focused and being present in the moment. You're giving yourself time to truly think or be where you are without the constant distractions, without the triggers, and hopefully try to push away that addiction that we have of constantly looking up something on our phones or constantly having our phone right there in front of us. And I'll say up front, this is a challenge that I constantly have to remind myself of. And as I was researching and writing down this material, this was definitely one that crossed my mind. So to ensure that I'm not constantly pulling my phone out because it's conveniently in my pocket, I'll set my phone away off to the side somewhere where it's not even in the same room, thus removing that trigger or that constant thought of looking something up or pulling it out just to click on an app that I don't necessarily need to in the moment. Our brain is constantly seeking for those dopamine triggers, similar to a food addiction or gambling. And this does exhaust our neurotransmitters that motivate us to do things like taking action. In turn, it does lead to decision fatigue, mental fatigue, and inaction. In other words, the doom scrolling is killing our chances of breaking out of our current position. It also leads to our brain rewiring itself for instant gratification and short-term attention spans, leading to more superficial presentation and participation in life, often resulting in disappointment, while destroying our ability to critically think. And it releases cortisol, the stress hormone, leading to increased stress, anxiety, mental fatigue, which results in physical fatigue. And our brain uses about 20% of our body's energy just to function. So we're doing ourselves a disservice by constantly looking at, pulling up, and using that phone for things that are not necessarily essential in the moment or necessarily productive. And as said before, it's important to keep in mind the difference between something like productive procrastination, where we feel like we're being productive, but we're not truly keeping the main thing. Now, number 3 is getting organized and having a clean space. So organized meaning having a separate space so you can be in a mental place to execute the things you need to do. My office setup, my desk setup, for example, is purely designed to try to set myself away from all the distractions and things that I use for personal entertainment. So I'm not going to have my desk set up where I'm inclined to just start doom scrolling or I'm inclined to start doing something that I shouldn't be doing in that moment. I want to be present for the work that I need to do so I can get into deep work and just be effective, be efficient with that time to feel accomplished by the end of the day. So the more organized we can get and the cleaner space we have without distractions, the better off we can be and the more efficient we can work and operate. And we can always spend more time cleaning, but we have to be sure that our space is organized enough to give us the mental clarity, eliminating any visual stress or triggers that ruin your ability to perform deep work. But again, don't get caught up or distracted by productive procrastination of just constantly feeling like I need to clean. There's always going to be something somewhere that could use more attention. But what is most important in those specific times of the day? I have a setup that I should be doing or could be doing, but this is a quiet time in my house where I have the ability to go into my office and present this podcast, for example. That being said, I need to take advantage of this time because if I do procrastinate and do the cleaning, do the setup, do the organization that I realistically can do a little bit later today, this opportunity will not present itself again for the rest of the day because this house is as quiet as it's going to be for the rest of the day. Now, my desk setup is specifically designed to work, write, speak, edit content, and read. Then I can walk over to my gym just a few feet away and have a clear, simplified space that makes execution easier. Having an organized space, having a clean space, allows me to be more productive, more efficient, but also keeping in mind directives of what I need to do in the moment. Next is meal prep and choose nutrition. So when we prep meals in advance, it might be work in the moment, but it saves us time throughout the day and throughout the week, right? And while we reduce the decision fatigue of, I'm not sure what I'm going to have, I'm not sure what I'm going to make for lunch or for dinner, we also make more ideal decisions. So how many times have you gotten through the day, getting off work, and then you're trying to figure out, like, all right, what do I want for dinner? Usually, if you're doing it on the fly, your default might be, I'm just going to slap together whatever I can find in the fridge. I'm going to look through the cabinets just to see what we have and see what I can put together. Or you're stopping by and picking up the pizza on your way home, right? Now, it may not be pizza, it's going to be fast food or something that's generally less desirable. Perhaps it's less quality or more calorie dense, less ideal for your health and for your physical goals. If you don't have specific goals, that's okay, but keep in mind what we consume is energy for our bodies. It is nutrients for our bodies. And when we overconsume certain things, that can have an adverse reaction or adverse effect on our bodies, including increased stress, weight gain, what most find to be undesirable or unwanted health aspects in our life. I'm not telling you how you need to live, but what I'm suggesting is when you meal prep, when you choose ideal nutrition in advance and you plan it in advance, you are setting yourself up for success. You are setting your future self up for success to ensure that you are attaining your goals and striving to reach to become the person you want to be. And this is the simplest form of what you can do to better achieve those goals through nutrition. Next is planning the week. When we plan in advance, perhaps you've heard the phrase plan your day or someone will plan it for you. If you feel like you just can't get caught up or can't keep up, it's possible that it's not a time issue as much as a priority issue. When the day inevitably has a setback or things that we didn't really plan for, we begin to act reactively opposed to proactively with our plan for that day, in turn, affecting the rest of the week. Like the analogy, if you spend an hour sharpening your axe, you'll be able to cut the tree down with less effort and less time than if you were just to begin hacking away with any tool you can find or dull object. When we plan in advance, we know exactly what we need to do to feel accomplished for that day, for that week, and we know what we need to do to set ourselves up for success. And we can be proactive in our day-to-day. When we refuse to spend the time to make a plan in advance, we inevitably yield to setbacks, delays, and possibly never executing the task that we set out to accomplish. Monday passes, Tuesday passes, and before we know it, it's Friday, we're exhausted, and we're trying to figure out where the day went. When we plan in advance, we also get a chance to plan our downtime, plan our fun time. So this also gives you something to look forward to. Planning your breaks and planning the downtime so that you can spend more time with family, spend more time with friends, or keeping the main thing the main thing. Have you ever been so efficient in a day that you lay down tired, but you feel like it was a successful day? It's possible to live that more often than you think. And if you're looking for where to start with this, I have two options for you. The first is to download the Intentions Game Plan, print it out, and fill out the prompts. It sets you up for success to get into the mindset of what's important to you and what you need to do next to feel accomplished. Number two, join my revamp community under the coaching link section of my website. Again, englandcoaching.com. And to keep this episode short enough for your commute, we're going to continue part 2 in this episode, where we focus on getting more clear with ourselves to not only improve our clarity, but also efficiency. If you're a part of the revamp program, the next habits are also facilitated throughout that program. So the 5 habits that I shared with you today is move daily, eliminate phone distractions, getting organized and create a clean space, meal prep and choosing nutrition, and plan the week in advance. Let me know what your habits are, or if you're willing to take on any challenge of implementing any of these habits starting this week. And until next time, remember that your next level doesn't come from wishing. It comes from daily consistent action. Lean into that discomfort and stay relentless. Average is optional and growth is a choice, and the practical edge is where you sharpen that choice. So until next time, stay focused, stay driven, and keep leveling up. Have a great day.